Ladies and gentlemen, join me as I expose CNN propaganda.
Yeah, give me 1 second. CNN embraced Director Chester's
It's Brian Stelter.
philosophy of the news.
Do you think it's going to be just like a lot of like fear? Like, climate?
Yeah, fear sells. Fear sells.
Does fear sell? Does Charlie Chester still employed at CNN?
I feel really bad for you.
Why is that? Mr.
He knows he never answers the question. They asked him several times, why do you feel bad for me? No response. Brian Stelter, the guy who lives in a bubble but likes to point his telescope at another bubble. So CNN actually finally got exposed. Not saying it's the first time, because they were exposed before for helping Trump to win, right? One of the head guys at CNN actually were helping Trump to win, because obviously Trump is a gold mine. And then there were some other videos. We'll talk about that in a second. But this just came out where we had a technical director who revealed some of the stuff that we were already suspicious of in terms of CNN and their propaganda and their slanted coverage. And of course, the apologists are out there with all their excuses. Oh, he's like a camera guy and he wouldn't know anything and blah, 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 blah. And Project Veritas has lied and blah, blah, blah. Let me explain how propaganda works in the United States of America. I'll break down the whole scheme. So, if you want to get into the news media business, you pick, just like with any other company, you've got to find out who your customers are, all right? Find out who your customers are, what they want, and then you provide them with what they want. So if I want to get into selling cars or vehicles, and I live somewhere really, rural Texas or something like that, I'm going to sell a lot of trucks, right? I'm going to invest a lot in trucks, big vehicles, and things like that because, hey, I'm in Texas. So I'm going to identify that this is a kind of vehicle that people in this area want, and I'm going to provide those vehicles for the customers. That's how business works, right? You find a market or a customer, you figure out what that customer needs in terms of how can you add value to them, and then you cater to that customer, right? I'm not going to be selling a bunch of Toyota Priuses in rural Texas, right? In fact, I might just badmouth those types of vehicles, right? Because I'm selling trucks, right? My customers are truckers. They love trucks. Let's talk about how, this is a real vehicle, not like that, those plastic Toyota, right? That may not be how I actually feel, but I know that's what my customers, that's how they feel. And I'm trying to sell a product. So now let's get to media. So one of the ways in news media for you to make money, to start a news media business and maximize your profits, you start with the standard business model, right? You got to find your customers. So let's say you want to target liberals. All right. So that's my customers. I want to target, not actual customers, but that's who I want to target. So I want to target liberals. So what do liberals want? Do they want Toyota Prius or do they want Ford F450 or whatever, Ford F1000, right? I'm probably gonna try to sell them the Prius, right? I know they're concerned about social issues, social justice issues, racism, right? That kind of stuff. So I'm gonna give them what they want, right? So you got that Fox News dealership in Texas selling all those trucks, right? But I'm not in Texas. I'm in New York City. So I'm going to sell and talk about the Prius, right? I'm going to badmouth the trucks, they're gas guzzlers, whatever. So any advantages to having trucks, I'm going to suppress it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to discount it. I'm going to debunk it. I'm going to, fake news and conspiracy theories, right? You got to get the Prius, right? You got to get the Prius. That's the car you want. Save the environment. I may not care about the environment at all, but if I know that's what my customers care about, then yeah, I care about the environment. Yes, green, right? So you pander to your audience. You tell them what they want to hear. You validate their beliefs. right? So if they're concerned about racial issues, anytime there's a police shooting and there's an angle that you can make it look like maybe it was race related, I'll go that angle, right? Because that sells. That's going to get me views and clicks and therefore money. An alternative way that you can get into this business is, let's say, for example, you wanted to tap into another market. So you have the skeptics who don't like mainstream media. So you can sort of target them and play the outsider independent role, right? I'm the outsider, I'm the independent, and you're anti-mainstream media, right? So you give that impression, you give that image, and then what you can do is, let's say you want to basically target liberals, then you can go and do like hidden camera videos and try to expose Fox News and go and get them to say stuff. You go and interview hidden camera thing, right? You go to a party or something and there's like a Fox News executive and you try to get them to say something about Tucker Carlson or whatever. And then, you post it on your channel and you're like, hey, look what Tucker Carlson said. Fox News, fake news, yet again, right? You recruit someone to try to get in with like Tim Pool and then, try to get them to say something like on hidden camera or whatever, like, look, Tim Pool's propaganda, right? And then you completely ignore CNN, you completely ignore MSNBC. You don't go after any liberal channels because that's your audience, right? You're targeting liberals. So liberals don't want to see you exposing liberal organizations. So you target all conservative organizations, right? And then of course you can choose the flip side of that, right? There's another market. Let's say you want to target conservatives. Well, with conservatives, what you could do is do the reverse. So you target MSNBC, you target CNN, and then you completely ignore Fox News and Tim Pool. And in fact, you partner with these individuals. Maybe you can get featured on their shows. You put out content that would be profitable for them to use and encourage them to do so. So you have a guy like Tim Pool putting your video on his channel, exposing your channel to even more people. There could be money behind the scenes type of thing. And the thing also is you can even go the Oppo research angle. So what you do is you try to get dirt on the opposition party or their media, and then you're also going to get more views and money by the politicians, right? So you have Republican politicians that'll see this and they'll use it, they'll tweet it out, they'll use it in their campaigns or whatever. Look at the liberal, this on the media, fake news, whatever, right? So by providing value to corrupt Republicans, they will donate to you. So there's a lot of money coming in from these politicians who will support you. The more damaging stuff you can come out with, the more money they'll give you. A lot of rich Republicans may give you donations and things like that. And you just got to keep coming out with more dirt. And the thing is, you don't even need to really give a lot of quality. You could show a secret recording of CNN just having a meeting, not saying anything that's kind of like shocker, like whoa, you know what I mean, like nothing really revealing. But since you have a partisan audience, anything like hidden camera, you could put out any hidden camera video about CNN. Substance, no substance, doesn't matter, and they're gonna eat it up, right? You can make money from that. They're gonna be like, yeah, great, this is real journalism, right? Now in this case, obviously this stuff was, if you guys saw the video, this was pretty good in terms of what actually came out. Some pretty bad stuff was said that we kind of suspected, but it's nice to have someone who actually works for CNN admitting that. So, but that's pretty much how propaganda works. You find an audience of sort of gullible people who are not going to question your motives, who you can play a role with, where you pretend to be independent, you pretend to be against certain things, cancel culture, pancake syrup, whatever, right? You don't really care about that stuff, but your audience. It's kind of like it's kind of pawns, ways that you can make money, or rubes, right? You do the same thing, liberal media. You can play up the racial tensions, oh, look, another black person killed. When is this going to stop? You bring on somebody like Al Sharpton, right? And you come in, yeah, this and that, and a black, right? And, it's pander, validate. And then another tactic is focus on the other side. So if I'm going to target liberals, I'm going to tell them what they want to hear, right? I'm going to talk about the stuff that they care about. And then alternately, I'm going to protect myself by focusing on the other side and saying, look at all their bias and propaganda. I'm doing the same thing myself. But by me pointing out like how their propaganda, it makes me look better. Because if I'm doing propaganda, why would I be pointing out somebody else doing propaganda? I want to keep my mouth shut. I don't want to even say the P word, right? So if I want to target a conservative audience, I can do the same thing. Keep pointing out and expose CNN, expose MSNBC, right? Keep directing my audience attention to the other side so they're not really looking at me and what I'm doing and how biased I am and how biased the individuals that I support, because that's the thing, you collaborate. Right? If I'm on the conservative side, you collaborate with Stephen Crowder and Tim Pool and Blaze TV, and you form little networks, Daily Wire, all this kind of stuff, and you work together to make the most money by taking advantage of your audience and how gullible they are, which is the same thing liberal media does. Right? You have these independent people who are on the left. They work together. They collaborate with other YouTubers. They will call out on the other side, but they won't call out people on their side doing the same thing. Right? And basically you have the conservative rubes and you have the liberal rubes that are just there, come on in, look, cancel culture, ooh, racism, right? And then they come in, they click, they comment, and the money just keeps rolling on in. And that's pretty much how propaganda works in this country. So anyway, thanks for watching. This is the Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well.